All right, let's get it. G'day, guys. Welcome back to yet another episode of the CoolDad Collective podcast, the podcast that is for dads by dad, talking everything there is to talk about fatherhood. We got the phone on Do Not Disturb. We're back again. And yes, I am sorry. I'm sorry for, I actually felt really bad about this in hindsight. But I also was very flattered in the same regard. I'm not sitting down with Chris Hemsworth today, unfortunately. The man's got a pretty busy schedule, as you could probably tell. But one day, and that's the other thing. You've got to watch out for AI, because that was just a pretty easy AI thing on ChatGPT. To be fair, I'm actually surprised it fooled a lot of people. But I was immensely flattered by a lot of the people that reached out and were just really nice. And I promise one day it's gonna happen. I promise. If you're listening to this now, you can literally be like, hey, he called this. But it will happen. It'll happen one day. I have unbelievable and delusional confidence in Cool Dad and at reaching the right places. So it will happen. I'm very excited for it to eventually happen. But there's a lot of work to be done between now and then. And your boy's been working very hard. And I think it's really cool. And I say this every week because sometimes I miss the episodes, and I really wanted to do like an episode every week by myself, and then have the guest ones in every so often, which we've got some guest ones lined up. There's been a lot of working for a few of the guests, which is really, really cool. But yeah, it's just been a lot of just when things are good, and I think it's really cool when you work really hard at something and it gets really to a point where it's like, I guess, it's starting to form into the thing that you always imagined it would be. It's very exciting, and you kind of welcome the work. But the downside to that is when you welcome the work, there's more work, and you got to try and fit it in, and then it's very difficult at the same time. So as I said, and I say this multiple times, I say this all the time, whenever I do stuff online, or whether I do something with a brand, that brand's got to really hit the nail on the head. Like, I need to either use them all the time or have a desire to want to work with them, because I know that there's just there's a lot of things that you can. I don't know where I'm going with this. Essentially, the main thing is the channel grows, and you guys can see it growing. Nothing's going to change. It's always going to be the same, and I want to keep it that way because, personally, I've seen so many things that I've loved from I guess a simple beginning, and as it's gotten bigger, you kind of you're like, oh, this isn't really what I sort of started following. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm in my own head right now. But yes, we've been working very hard, but I've also been working very hard in the dad realm as well. And that's what this is about. That's what Cool Dad's about. It's about telling stories and sharing experiences. And, I'm fresh out. Yesterday I had my monthly psychology appointment. So, I've been very consistent with that, and I'm reaping the rewards because I'm feeling very good. It's sort of trickling down into, obviously, I'm feeling really good, and I'm handling, life at the moment quite well, which I wouldn't say I used to, but I often find that I do struggle. So keeping my head in the day to day and making sure I'm not frustrated or snappy or irritable and things like that. So I've been on a really good wavelength there, and checking in with my psychologist once a month always just keeps me sort of. I guess I'm someone who, diving into some of my psychology work, I'm someone who I sort of strive to reach certain goals, but I never actually celebrate getting to those goals. So there's been a couple things that I've sort of done recently where I don't think I celebrated it enough. And it's not just to do with Cool Dad, it's to do with life stuff as well. And I think when I have those monthly appointments, I always sort of come back to hey, yeah, I did do that, or hey, yeah, I did handle that really well. Or so, the psychology for me is, I guess now I sort of know, what to work on and how to work on it. And then coming in for those monthly appointments now, it's more of an opportunity to reflect and almost celebrate, those moments that I actually can see hey, I probably wouldn't have done that 5-6 years ago. I probably wouldn't have made that choice. I probably wouldn't have, calmed myself down before pulling the trigger on an argument or something like that. And that's all come from psychology. So I'm someone who always, will pump the tires up for psychology. I think it's great. I'm very privileged that I can privilege. I'm very privileged that I can access it, and I know it is difficult sometimes, and I make it a priority now, even though like it takes a hammering financially, but I think it's important. But yeah, so that's been really good for me. So if you're someone, and like I said, I love psychology. It took me a while to get into it. If you're someone who is thinking about getting into like, trying to have a session or something, fully say go do it. But obviously, if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right. Like if you're with a psychologist and you're like, I don't think this is the person that's going to get me, you'll probably know within the first few minutes, and that kind of sucks. Like trying to find that, that person, but. Really give it a go before you make any snap judgments. Because I was someone that used to make snap judgments all the time, and I was also a very angry young man for some stupid reason. I don't know, like the anger's just inside you, and being someone who really wants to change the stigma, I got to do it myself. And so working with psychologists is very good. Very good. It's great, and I would say go do it if you're curious about it, because I've made so much progress in terms of not just like myself and my mental health, but just the way I handle situations to just, I don't know, be a better person, I guess. We all just want to be a better person. And, that leads into like fatherhood as well. Like, I'm so happy that my daughters get to see me and I'll proudly be like, yeah, Dad's going to psychology this afternoon. And if Skylar asks like, oh, what's that? I just go, Dad just like talks about like his emotions and how he's feeling. And I think that's really, I don't know, like it's not performative. Like I don't do it to be like, haha, but I guess I want it to be a normal conversation. It to be a normal conversation in the house, right? Because like I guess when I was growing up, and I don't have these conversations with my parents all that often, but like when I was younger, like I think the idea of like seeing a psychologist, like people would just be like, oh, that person's crazy, right? And like, that's all you sort of heard growing up. So you always just thought, oh, so-and-so seeing a psych, man, he must be going crazy, mate. But it's not like that. And I think if we can change the way we talk about it, and, for me, obviously explaining to Skylar what I do and not being ashamed of it, that does wonders, man. That does wonders. Because then you're going to have, like, for example, Skylar might meet a partner, and that partner says, like, hey, I go to psychology. They might be really like, but she'll probably see it as like a bit of a green flag. Like, hey, this person's really getting it together. So, yeah, anyway, try it if you can. It's fantastic. But yeah, leading into the fact that it is the first week of school holidays. So, and I've mentioned it in weeks before. The reason this is such a big deal, that it's like the school holidays this time, is obviously with my job, I usually get school holidays, and the girls are usually at kindy. So like, we don't really pull them out because kids still got to work, and, I run CoolDad, so I use a lot of time on the holidays to sort of batch my things and get everything in preparation for when I go back to work, essentially. And so I have a lot of time there. But now this is the first official school holidays where like Skylar's with me pretty much all the time. And I know she's not with me right now. We're lucky enough that Kia's given me 2 hours where, she's doing her work from home stuff, and who's really good. Sky is just unbelievably good in these situations. I don't know what it is. I don't know how she's managed to do it, but like, if Kia needs to do work, Skylar will literally sit there and draw for like an hour. And I know, like, I'm not saying that as a flex. I'm assuming this is just a big boy-girl difference. Say what you want. I feel like they're very different. Like, because I reckon there's no way if my mom was working from home and I was 5 that I was going to sit still and draw. But she seems to do it, and she seems to really like it. So I've got 2 hours now where I can smash what I usually would do in 6 hours into a 2-hour block, and then off we go and get summer. So it's been a lot for us in terms of trying to fit everything in. And I think that's a really common thing when your kids go to school. And I've said this, as I'm going to say this a lot. Like I've said this previously, one thing when transitioning into school is that change of like routine, or I guess change of logistics. I use the term of like, this person's got to go here. Oh, fuck, this person's got to go here. Oh, blah, blah, blah. So it's been a massive 10 weeks getting used to it. And now the holidays are a same sort of thing. Like this is a new format of holidays. So obviously trying to be conscious of money, because everything's fucking so expensive right now, because it's going to cost me like pure gold to just get my car to go from A to B. So there's that. And then, you got everything else. Groceries are expensive, but you also, you want to do something with your kids on the holidays. So Skylar and I are just like picking out different things that we can do. And yesterday it was fucking mad. I had like a really good time. Skylar and Summer, maybe not so much. Summer probably didn't really give a shit because she's 3 and she's just like, I'm just happy to be around be around the boys and the girl. But Sky, we went bird watching yesterday. Now, my mate Kurt, standard, no, he's Uncle Kurt. If you follow Instagram, you know who Uncle Kurt is. Uncle Kurt's my best mate. He doesn't have kids at the minute. Whatever happens. Hopefully soon. You didn't hear it from me, Uncle Kurt, but I know you don't listen, so it doesn't matter. But he's really into bird watching, and he loves taking photos of birds. So I thought, you know what? Instead of doing our walk to Felons and having a beer at 10 a.m., let's switch it up. Let's change it up a little bit. Get rid of the alcohol, and we'll go bird watching. And we went bird watching, and to be fair, we probably lasted about an hour and 15 minutes. And there is something, and I spoke to Uncle Kurt about this when we played futsal. There's something fucking hilarious about taking your kids to go do something that your friend without kids enjoys, right? So like bird watching. What could go wrong taking one 5-year-old and a 3-year-old bird watching? It seems like a really, really intense activity that's going to keep them busy. No, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. But my favorite thing was Skylar is the loudest human being. Like she just like it doesn't like it's not just a voice thing. Like she's quite loud voice wise, screaming, blah blah blah, girl stuff. But she's not aware of how much noise she makes just walking around. Like she's got a heavy foot. Anyway, watching my mate Kurt try to take photos of birds who need to be incredibly still, and the chances of that are already low. And then the good lighting, making sure there's nothing in the way of like the photo. Watching him try to do that while Skylar is trying her fucking hardest to be quiet, but there's no physical way that she can be quiet because that's just who she is. And watching him try not to lose his shit, top 5 parenting moments. And it's not even really a parenting moment. Like you just watch them. Like there's almost a part, whether they want kids or not, there's almost a part where they look at you and they go, how the fuck do you do anything? And you're like, yeah, I know, dude. I know. I agree. It's very hard. But yeah, so that's always a win. But we went bird watching yesterday, so that was one thing we did that didn't cost any money, which is fantastic. Today we had a bit of a chores day. I like to spice it up a little bit and name the day. So we did chores day today, where we did a whole bunch of chores, and that pretty much was just like Skylar trudging around the house being like, where do I put this? Where do I put this? And I'm just like, dude, it is your toys. I don't know where your toys go. And then walking into a room and just seeing it's a mess and just being like, well, just shut the door. It's fine. I can't see it. I'm all good. I know you guys know where everything is. The only time I need to go in there is when the washing's like, let's just leave it at that. I hope mum doesn't see it. We'll tidy up the lounge room. Sorted that. So now we're kind of chilling. And, but yeah, back to the main point. It's been really great. Because I feel like with Skylar being at school now, you obviously just don't see them as much. Like you see, like it's only 6 hours a day, but if you're not doing the pickup and say you have to get home at like 5, you feel like you don't really get to see them as much. And they're usually really tired at the end of the day. So it's fantastic in regards to like, I'm super stoked that I get to spend all this time with Sky. But on the flip side, it's once again like time. Like now you're like, okay, where does this fit in? And, I'm like lucky in the regards to the fact that like I can still look after it. Like this isn't my full-time job. So like parents out there that are on holidays and you're like working out the logistics of like how one's going to take time off or where are we going to send the kid or we got to go to vacation care. Firstly, you should never feel guilty about having to make those arrangements. Like if you're going to work, you should never have to feel guilty about, we got to send them to vacation care. Like that's you being a parent. Fulfilling your duty as a parent is you still going to work, right? But I do want you to acknowledge that it's really hard to do that. Like I know it seems like, we'll just move this around and change this and change. No, it's really hard to logistically change your whole work schedule round for 2 weeks. And so if you're doing that at the moment and you're sitting there like, this is insane, like just know like it's tough to do. Like you're doing something that's quite hard. Man, I got such a dry throat. It's killing me. Excuse me. It's the one time I didn't bring water. But yeah, so, working that stuff out is always going to be hard. And it's always going to be changing. And I think, if you're dealing with those changes at the moment, even if you're just getting by, like I want you to know that's me. That's been me for like the last 10 weeks. last 10 weeks, I think my house, I think over the last 10 weeks, the last school term with Skylar just starting and then summer obviously having been whatever, it was busy. I don't think my house has been tidy in like the whole term. And I don't mean tidy as in like, I mean tidy as in like spotless. Like it's been like clean, but like there's still been like a pile of clothes in the fucking corner. I'm still like the morning of school being like, shit, Skylar's uniform is wet. I need to put it in the dryer. I need to sort that out. Like that has been me majority of the time. Like the transition has not been super, like it's been fantastic, but it hasn't been perfect. So if you're feeling that too, if you feel like if your kid's just started school, or maybe like you're wanting to pre-plan for when your kid does start, or maybe, you know, you got another kid starting, or maybe you're just still like, it's just getting back to, maybe you've got a new job and your kids are starting year 4 or something. And if you're just getting by, that's normal. Don't feel like you're losing or you're behind or you're not doing a good job. Because I would say I'm a great dad and a good parent. And I am struggling on some days. So like, you know, it comes down to the whole like, you know, only good parents care about whether they're a good parent. If you're thinking about like shit, like, oh my God, like chances are you're doing a good job. You're just being too critical on yourself, right? Like, yeah. So don't ever feel like if you're just getting through the day, fucking who cares? You got through the day. Like that's all that we can do. Like, yeah, okay, you could have done something way bigger, but you could have done way less too. Like just be happy with where you are. One of the things my psych says to me a lot, and I know I say it, but I also don't think I practice it that much, is just like meeting yourself where you're at. Right. And you know, if you're someone who makes content as well, like you could relate this to anything. Like it's just an attitude thing, right? Like being like, for me personally, I know that there could be a chance that I'll get to the end of the day today and I'll look around, the house will be a mess and I'll be like, what the fuck have I achieved today? I've done nothing today, right? But then I'll go through my day and be like, well, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. I feel like I'm so quick to just jump on the fact that, oh, you're a loser today. Like, what the hell did you even achieve? Without actually looking at all the micro things that I've done that have like contributed to something. So meeting myself where I'm at and just being like, yep, I did enough today. Like that's enough. The kids went to school. Everyone had uniforms. Everyone had lunches. The dinner's been made. Yeah, okay, I didn't post a viral video. Yeah, okay, I didn't get to like, you know, go to the gym for the amount of time I wanted. You know, I had to pay a bill today. So fuck, like I feel like I'm down on money now. Nah. You're still killing it. So, you know, meet yourself where you're at. If if you're this type of person, right? Like if you're doing a useless job, don't meet yourself where you're at because you probably suck. But if you know you're putting in work and you have a couple of days where you're just flat, like meet yourself where you're at. Be like, hey, it's not me today. It's not me today. I'll come back tomorrow. That's a big one because I feel like everywhere we go, it's like whatever you do, you're always shown the perfect model of it. Like, and that fucking sucks, man. Like, and that's with everything, you know? You see something, this is the perfect model. You see someone playing a game, this is the perfect model. You see someone playing a sport, this is the perfect model. And it makes us feel shit just to be at where we are. You know what I mean? Like you might always see something, someone's bought something new or someone's business is doing better than you or someone's follower count is more or someone's kid can do more. Dude, like, it doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't. You know, you just meet yourself where you're at and be better than yourself tomorrow. Anyway, that was a bit of a ramble, but that's how I'm feeling. Cause like, I feel like there's so many parents out there who are doing a good job and don't realize it. And I don't know whether like we need to be more, I don't know. I try to make it a point of myself now if I see like my mates really killing fatherhood, like really doing a good job of telling them. Because I think every man who's a parent, when you tell a man that and especially if it comes from another mate, when you tell a man that they're a good dad, their person's probably going to cry. Like I would internally cry. Like I would hold it together. Because I'd be like, appreciate you, bro. Like, so there's times where I get messages from like people who listen to the pod and they're like, you're a great dad. And I'm like, thanks, Jim from fucking Tennessee. I actually genuinely appreciate that because I was having a shit day and now I've seen this. So, you know, tell your mates that they're good dads as well. Hell yeah, dude. Anyway, leading into the main part of what this podcast was about. And as I said, I have learned a lot over the last 10 weeks, especially with Skylar starting school. I have learned a lot about, scheduling. I've learned a lot about keeping a calendar. I've learned a lot about, I guess, being flexible with change. Like there might be something that changes. I've learned a lot about being okay with not being early to things. Okay. And in particular, how'd you explain that? That's an interesting one because you wouldn't think that came out of school. So what I've learned, this is also coming from a teacher, right? So like I've worked as a teacher for like 8 years, like almost 10 years, right? And I have been in the school like structured day forever. And I still learned so much about school this year from the other side of the fence, right? As like a parent as well. And, to be fair, high school and primary school, they're completely different. We may as well be completely different industries, even though we're the same. Like if you talk to a high school teacher and a primary school teacher, you will have vast comparison. Like you will see so much differences in the same job. It's actually really interesting to find out because it takes a lot of people for surprise, right? But one thing I have noticed is the one thing I find that is just like it will always set you up for a good day, and it's really monotonous to do and it's annoying to do, especially because it's probably the last thing you do, and that is like doing the things that are going to require to be done in the morning at night. Now it's kind of like there's obvious things, like obviously getting changed, things like that, but I realized that I waste so much fucking time in the morning looking for the girls' clothes because Summer's still obviously in kindy, so she wears whatever she wants. And Skylar's got a uniform, right? And I usually do the mornings. So Kia usually starts early, goes to the gym, does work, and then she does the afternoons. But the mornings, I try to structure it as much as I can, and I try to get everything done the night before. And I know there are times where I'm like, fuck, this sucks. I don't want to do this. Holy shit. I don't want to make a lunch at 9:30 at night. But just do it. Literally, it might be 10:30. I know you're like, fuck, that's 15 more minutes before I can go to bed. I really need to go to bed so I can get up early, blah, blah, blah. Just do it because you'll gain that time back. Like you'll gain that time back. It could be you roll over and you're like, I just want 10 more minutes of sleep in the morning. And you go, holy shit, how good is this? Don't have to make the fucking lunches. Bada bing. That like it is one of the because it makes the morning better. I always say be kind to your future self. Don't be a dick to your future self. Don't make your future self look back and go, fuck that guy. He's lazy. So put a reminder somewhere because there's been times and I've been proven time and time and time again. Like I feel like I'm a mad scientist with this thing because sometimes I am fucking lazy, right? And I'll be like, I'll just do it in the morning. I can give you, I reckon, based on my data in my head, so the amount of times I've experienced this, I would say there's a 90% chance that the morning's going to be shit if I don't do things the day before in terms of making the lunch, putting it in the fridge, obviously, getting uniforms out and clothes set out the day before and just leaving them in the lounge room or hung up somewhere. And then, this sounds so stupid, but making sure hairbrush, hair ties, and like their little hairspray is ready to go in the bathroom, right? Because they're the three things that take the longest time, right? Finding clothes sucks. It also sucks because I'm lazy and didn't put the clothes away, right? I get that. But because I went searching for it the night before, even though the job wasn't done, still got a uniform, dude. That's one of my biggest things. Just if you need to do, if it's in the morning and it's monotonous and annoying, do it at night. Because you will love yourself in the morning. You'll be like, holy shit, I'm a genius. Did I just like break the matrix here? Like that's how you feel. Okay? Unbelievable stuff. Next thing, okay? And this is personal choice, whatever. This is just me. I'm not embarrassed by this at all. I know some people might be, but I'm not. Secondhand uniforms. Dude, like before you even set foot in the school, right? You're gonna need, if they're there 5 days a week, right? You need minimum, in my opinion, because you got to take into consideration some days you might fuck up and not do the laundry, right? And if you're the laundry dad, you know that feeling. You just sit there like, shit, not enough time for dryer. Everything's all wet. What are we going to do? So Uniform, go to the uniform shop. Most schools have them. I think most schools in general have them. I guess unless you're in the States and they don't wear a uniform, you can get secondhand uniforms. We got majority of Skylar's uniforms for about $5 each, right? Brand new, they're like $65, right? So before you even set foot in the gate, you've pretty much spent, let's say you get four uniforms, right? And you've probably spent, and you include the hat, the pants, whatever, you've probably spent like $500 before they've even started. Everything we have, because kids grow so quickly, right? Everything we have is in perfect condition because they probably only got worn for a year because that's how big they are. We got so many of them. Don't feel embarrassed by it. Like, that money is probably going to be well invested at home. Trust me. Save some cash, right? Everything looks the same. Unless there is this new uniform that you need to buy, it's not that bad. It's fine. And you're at the age now, you're at the age where you don't have to like fight about, these units, just wear it, okay? It's great. So secondhand uniforms and the scheduling. 10 weeks of school, those things in terms of logistically making things work, fantastic. The last thing that I think has been unbelievable with school, because mainly it gives us something to talk about, right? Because, you get your kid back from school, they're exhausted. You ask, how's school? Oh, it's good. And that starts from like prep. I know people with teenagers that you ask them, how's school? Oh yeah, good. No, you get the same answer from a 5-year-old. So with the homework stuff, I know I know they label it as homework. I wouldn't really consider this homework. It's more just I believe that for, preps, the homework element is just allowing parents to have an insight into what their kid's learning, right? You're not in the classroom, right? But if you see your kid doing 1+1, which I've done which I've seen Skylar do, you then go oh, that's what they're doing in school. Sweet. And then you can almost implement that through the day, right? You might say oh, what are those two numbers together? What do they make? And we can do that just walking. That requires no effort at all. 0 effort, right? You can just be walking down the street. You see the number 27. You're like, what is 2 + 7? Boom. Then you're talking about, and then more often than not, then you have the ability then when you're actually talking to the kid about school, you're like, hey, how was math today? Or hey, how was reading this book? Because I saw that you were reading this book because you know what I mean? Those things, being involved in the homework process, they don't necessarily have to do the homework. It just allows you to have a bit of insight into what they're learning and gives them a chance to explain it to someone new, which is a fundamental way that people learn. You learn something and then you have to put it in your own words to teach someone else. That's almost reassuring your learning. It's insane. It really is. And all those things require very little effort. Very little effort. So, sorry to get all teachy there. I still am a very passionate teacher, despite, doing all this sort of stuff. And I do value, kids' education, but I also value the side of things that I think as dads, we can get more involved in homework things and, the structuring of things. If you're someone who puts your clothes out the night before, I'm not saying I am, but sometimes I like to be, get your kids to do it as well and then teach them good habits. Maybe it's a habit that you see as a negative in your life in terms of you're not as prepared at night and you want to change it. Get your kids involved too, because you're trying to change it. Your kids are then learning from you, and your kids are probably more often than not going to keep you accountable as well, which is pretty dope when you think about it. Shout out to my beautiful partner Kia, who got shown up by a 2-year-old when Summer decided to put her shoes back on the shoe rack and Kia kicked hers off in the living room. Very funny. Enjoyed that one. Anyway, guys, it has been a fantastic podcast. I've really enjoyed this one. I felt like I've needed a bit of a chat, and especially a good proper debrief around school, being on holidays and chilling out myself. Yeah, guys, if you want to get in touch with the podcast on email, CoolDadCollective@hotmail.com, over on Instagram @CoolDadCollective_ and everywhere else @CoolDadCollective. When this podcast, I don't know. Give us a review. If you're listening to this and you're a new listener, just open your Spotify or your Apple Podcast app. Just hit 5-star for me and just say post in the comment great dude, big head, something like that. That'll be funny. I don't mind. Just keep any engagement's good engagement. Just get it done. 5 stars. Appreciate you.